Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my show, and thank you for tuning in. We have a very lively show today. The topic is dreams, so anybody that may want a dream interpreted or just want to know maybe that it was your subconscious or it was an astral projection, please call into the show. We're here live. 888-994-4995. Looking forward to hearing from you. Don't be shy and call in. But I know Freddie has a lot of questions from viewers anyway. So here we go.
Sally, I love your hair.
You do? I look in the mirror and wonder I often wonder who I am. Now I'm really confused.
I love your hair.
Thank you.
So I had this dream over the weekend. I had a few, but this one is, I'm sitting out by the pool, and I guess I was with my parents, and we're going to go out for dinner. It always takes me longer to get dressed. So I go up in the elevator first to get dressed. And the elevator is going up, and I can see, but the floor numbers are in halves.
Okay.
So it's like 8.5, 16.5, and it's going up. And my phone rings, and it's in my beach tote bag, like such a vivid dream. And I'm thinking to myself in my dream, your phone's not going to answer because you're in an elevator. But I answered, and it's my mom. And she says, the elevator's broken. You need to hit clear to bring the elevator down. Nobody knows the elevator's broken, so just clear it out, and you'll come down, and everyone's going to be fine. Crazy dream.
Okay. Well, because it's such a vivid dream, you know, I often talk about that we are present in our dreams somewhere. We're on an astral plane. I didn't know they had elevators there, though, to be honest with you.
That was my next question.
But obviously they do. Okay, so I really do believe that you were there with your mom, and she had she kind of knew what was going on because she was explaining to you what you needed to do with the phone to clear it. And that makes sense, actually, in a lot of ways. So I do believe that when we sleep, and I've often talked about it because I have astral projected, that you were there, but my guides are laughing at me. There is elevators if you want an elevator there, and you were going up. So I think you were flying at that point, which I often talk about, which is in my book. I think you were projecting yourself there on the astral plane.
And she's thinking, I don't want you going, you got to come back.
And your mother is, well, she's there to guide. Actually, she was guiding you in a way because she's explaining to you what you needed to do. And it's not like that's a strange thing, because it's a strange thing that the elevator goes up. But if you think about it, if you are going up and there's something wrong with the elevator, you would want to use your phone. And as you said, it really didn't know it would work. So if you clear it, there's some indication that you are there.
My alarm started going off Saturday morning, and I'm thinking it's the buzzer on the elevator, and it was my alarm clock going off at the same time. It was just craziness.
It sounds a little crazy. Yeah, everything was going. But it's nothing to... If it was some sort of message, it's nothing that's gone wrong. I mean, the elevator didn't come crashing down.
No, it was all good.
So I think it's all good. I think that you've expressed it now. It may be, I feel that you're going to have a continuation of that. It may not be tomorrow, it could be next year, but let me know, Dawn, because I think it's to be continued. Okay, I feel that. Okay.
So the difference between a dream and a nightmare, is it simply that a nightmare comes from a different place in your psyche?
No, I think it's all from the same place, but it's a nightmare. Well, sometimes nightmares are not necessarily warnings, but it's to tell us something that's going on in our lives, and we're expressing it, or they are, or in our astral plane, we may be talking out something. And if you really... People say, oh, I had a nightmare, I don't want to know. But actually, it could be some sort of a message, even though it may be scary. It's put to you scary because this is just coming to me, and this makes sense too. It's something that you need to know, and you need to work it out. But if you're confused about it in awake, then it's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? But in your sleep, even though it's a nightmare, because it could be a situation that it's not particularly tolerable at that moment, but it's worth looking into. So nightmares are messages too, and they're actually, this is coming to me and I never knew this, they are important messages. Absolutely.
So essentially, they're the same as dreams, just
It's exactly the same, yes,
more
because
poignant.
Well, in an astral projection dream, which we were just talking about, you don't always remember, but when you do, it's very, very real, because we do this. Most of us do it, we just don't know that we do. But it's more real because you can always remember it. But if a nightmare is very specific about something, and it's something, my answer to that is, it doesn't matter what your dream is, if you remember it, and you can still remember it a day or 2 or 3 days later, even a year later, it's specific. And it's not necessarily a dream. There's more to it than a dream. Because I remember my dreams on my travels, which we would call dreams, from 20 years ago. I just didn't understand at the time what was happening to me, but many more people do today. And if you remember a dream, and if it was a little strange, or you're up in a ceiling in the corner of the studio, it's worth remembering and trying to figure it out. I'm actually referring to Freddie, but that's okay.
Why do some people remember their dreams at times and not others?
Because if you, which I was just kind of saying, that if you do remember a dream, and most people don't remember dreams. They wake up and they for that second that they wake up, they'll remember, and they say, oh, I want to remember this, and it's gone. It's literally gone. And that's kind of what happens to us when we're born. We don't remember a lot. Before we come in, we know, and then we don't. It's very similar to a dream. But there are specific dreams. And when you remember those dreams, which I was saying, I remember from 20 years ago of my travels and all the things that I did, is because I truly had to have been there. And that's kind of proof to me that we have an astral plane. And I remember those. We don't obviously go, or maybe we do every night, I don't know. But how in the world do you forget a dream? And yet sometimes you can remember dreams from years ago that seem at that time, and still do seem very real. They are real in our world.
And why some dreams in color and some in black and white?
Well, that I honestly, even unless they tell me, I think it's a personal thing, because sometimes you can dream in color and you don't even, because you don't remember the dream, and sometimes black and white. Even it's funny, because if you ask me, sometimes I dream in color of my travels, because I remember, and I think I had said this once before, they gave me fruit, and it was green with a white thing on top. It's nothing I've ever seen here, so that was a color dream. So I think it's just like anything else. You don't even remember sometimes if it's color or black and white. How do blind people, you're not sighted, and that you can have dreams and be specific about it, things that you may not have seen?
Well, that's just it. How can a blind person see a dream?
Because they're coming from a different place, Freddie, and that's an idea. Thank you.
And then the other bigger question I had, how can a blind person see a dream? That's interesting.
Yeah, it is, and that's actually kind of, maybe I'm going to say, proving my point if you think about it, because a blind person, that does see a dream, and if you're not actually here, you're somewhere else. And you often hear, if people go to a psychic, you say to the person, how are you? And if they see a specific person that you know, and they very often, if they weren't able to see, or they couldn't hear, or they had whatever wrong with them, I'm fine now, I hear and see everything. And that's been known, because people that go to psychics want to know how their loved ones are, and their answer are always, or they'll tell their loved ones, I'm just fine. I have no aches, I have no pains, and I can see.
No, I get that. But the interesting aspect, if you got a room full of people who could read dreams,
right,
psychics, whatever you want to call them, and everybody walked in there and explained what they dreamt.
Mm-hmm.
In my estimation, it's what you're verbalizing to the person that's going to interpret your dream, the words you use,
mm-hmm.
the energies you use. I think it's your interpretation of what you say. Rising in an elevator, the key word there is rising. Elevators go up, but they go down. I'm just confused how anybody can read a dream if their interpretation of that dream is 1, 2, 3, or 4 steps.
It's not easy to read a dream. Can I read my dreams? No, but I'm relying right now on my guides, which I do with a lot of these questions that I'm asked. If you ask me as Sally, I call myself Zena here, I'm surprised that I knew the answer to that, because I really don't know that I know that. So I'm really, when someone gives me a dream or they're saying, I probably, if I wasn't where I am right now in some kind of a trance, I may not be able to explain it, because it's up to that person. Really, when you think about it, it's what's going on in your day-to-day life. Well, I don't know the person that's asking me to interpret a dream. So we can actually interpret our own dreams if we've got specific problem. It's coming from our subconscious. Deeper down, we have a super consciousness, so it can even bring back things that have happened in past
But
lives.
instead of interpreting, is it more or less trying to understand?
Yes, it's more or less trying
because
to
of
understand.
the words that you're using to explain it.
Absolutely. It's us trying to understand, because it's like it's a continuation of what's going on in our life, and we're digging. If you think about it, and this is what I'm hearing, you go further into your subconscious. Now, when it goes beyond that and things that we may never have seen, and I'm a very good example of that, because I started drawing things that I had never seen from other lifetimes. I didn't know that it was from other lifetimes. I had no idea, but it was coming to me in dreams, because I was able to wake up from that dream and draw basically what I had seen. So how would I ever be able to explain that? If I'm drawing from the 14th, 15th century, it's not something I liked history, but I didn't go into it and look at the drawings as much as I drew, and I did that. So it's coming from somewhere else. Absolutely, and so is our dreams.
So Dawn's elevator dream might not necessarily be an elevator.
No, and I see what you're saying. No, it's something that's going on. I can't, because going back, being that I am where I am, I can't really remember the whole dream at this point that you had said. But however I described it, Dawn, it might not be the interpretation. You in your subconscious, and that's a really good question, are putting it as an elevator. But it could be something going on in your life that you're interpreting it, maybe for yourself to really figure out what it is. It was easier to put it in as an elevator. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but I do believe it's a message, because you remember it, and that's the key. If you wake up and you can still, people write down their dreams, but if you still remember that so vividly, like you were there, and I know you've had other dreams that way, then you were there, but just in a different form, in a different dimension. I truly, truly do believe that, because I'm a good example. How can I paint things I've never seen? I had never, so I thought I had never seen. But luckily I had someone here to guide me and say to me, well, go in and have a look and check that out. I hadn't checked out what I was looking at, and I had drawn the identical thing from centuries ago, many times, not just one thing. So I'm bringing that up because our dreams are real sometimes. We just don't recognize where we are. We're in another plane.
What do you think about people who dream about past lives or past famous people that come in and they do healings, or
Right.
they give a message? Is that a message of something that could happen? Is it a message for you to receive?
Well, there are people, and I have had a couple of premonitions of things that are happening that I have no idea that I'm going to see, but it's very real. So, and people will say, well, if it hasn't happened, how are you able to go into the future? Because that's a whole different subject. I know what I saw in a dream many years ago, but I didn't even know it was a premonition, because how would you know? But 5 or 6 years later, exactly, and I had told my guide Aldo, and he never even, well, he may have known, but may not have wanted to tell me. I saw exactly what it was, exactly, to ambulances being there, to many different things being there. So to me, that was a premonition that I had, and many people do. But my problem with my premonitions is if you have a premonition, and many people have them, if they don't give you a specific day or a date, you don't know what it is. So it's just like a regular dream. But we do get that, absolutely.
What's a premonition?
Premonition. You sound like me when I'm okay when I'm on my show, but in real life when I'm walking around, half the words I can't pronounce, as you know.
What's a
Steve.
premonition?
A premonition is something that you're going to see.
Like a vision.
A vision that I have seen. I mean, I won't go into the whole premonition. It means that I saw something that was going to happen 5 years from when I dreamt it. I didn't know that. It happened. I didn't know it was going to be 5 years.
So you see it again for a second time?
I saw it. I saw the real thing happen. No. What happened, many people have this, Freddie. They have what they call them premonitions. I saw ambulances. I saw a lot of things happening. It wasn't a pleasant. It was a nightmare, basically. And I had given people this story because it was so vivid. I think it was 4 or 5 years later, where I saw the identical place, or I misunderstood the building, but I realized today what it was, happened. So I must have gone, and it's not just me, it happens to a lot of people, had gone into the future and brought it back. My problem was that it needed to be told to somebody that this was going to happen, but how did I know that this was a premonition? I had no one to tell. I didn't know it was a premonition. Many people do have premonitions, and they know where it's going to happen, and they warn the police, they warn many people. Because it's usually something you need warning about.
And that's it. A premonition can be a warning of something about to happen. Like
that's right. That's what I'm just saying.
Premonitions where you've told me to be extra careful driving somewhere, or take a different route. Don't go on that street. Go around. Go the other way.
I mean, you can get paranoid about this too, and I don't want to. If I really feel it, sometimes I'm thinking, well, I don't, because I said that to you the other day. I don't want to keep telling you to drive carefully, because it is something that, to me, when it happens, I do believe that. So I know I've mentioned this before, if I feel that you shouldn't go that way and we go the other way, we don't have to know what happened if we went that way. I just diverted something without even knowing it, or maybe I did know it. It doesn't matter, as long as we're still safe. However it happened, it happened.
Does that make sense?
Does that help you? That is a premonition. A premonition is seeing the future, Freddie, if that makes sense. I mean, that doesn't necessarily make sense. But
are you seeing the future through a dream? Is that what you're
Well,
talking?
you can see it through your mind. I could see something sitting here. Well, there are people, to complicate this even more, and I'm sorry I'm going to do this, there are people that that can transport themselves to places. There's a name for, I'm forgetting the name right now, and they're not telling me, my guys, and you can actually see certain things. You can see it, during the war they use this, and I can mention Uri Geller because I know him, and he's openly said that they actually can transport themselves to a place, see maybe there's something you need to read that someone is reading, and bring it back and write it down. This has been proved. You don't have to necessarily be there, and for some reason I can't think what it's called. It's not astral projection. If any viewers are listening, and my guides aren't even, they're telling me I should know.
They're saying, Sally, you should know.
Yeah, it's in fact, Uri Geller has written a book called I Spied for the CIA. So it's all about being, he's not unique. There are many people that can do this.
It's tell us something.
No, it'll come to me. No, that's moving objects. I'll think of it in a minute, but anybody help me out.
You never have premonitions, Freddie, in your dreams, or things that are going to happen or have happened?
No.
Well, you may have done, and you may not have remembered it, because that's also a thing you need to remember. We've very often given, many psychics work for the police. They know where bodies are. They can tell you. They can go through into the mind of someone, this is gruesome, that has committed the murder. They know what they're thinking. They know where they're going. I don't want to go there, so I don't know if I can do it or not. That would be scary.
I've had very vivid dreams this weekend. Yesterday's dream was my tree was overgrown and I needed a new gardener. Like, that is just weird. And the tree was growing and it was caterpillars and things. And I said, Chuck, I think we might need a new landscaper.
Well, I think you also need to settle your mind a little bit before you go to sleep, dog.
Isn't that funny? It's like this overgrown tree, which is just random
You've been doing the gardening thing now for 2 weeks. You've been talking about the trees and the gardener and the caterpillars and...
I think you're in your fairy garden.
I think so.
That's the extent of a nightmare for you.
You see these?
I loved, oh my gosh, let's get a
It's
picture
a
of
fairy
that on.
and a wand.
Yeah, that absolutely beautiful.
Well, the more weight you put on your ears, I think it has.
Makes my dreams different. What about when you dream a name?
Well, look at
Not like I'm dreaming about you, but some famous person. Like if I dreamt about your past person that you were.
Well, you're connected. It's the energy. We're energy.
I had a dream Raquel Welch. I'm not connected to her.
But you may be. But I actually will bring up what happened to us the other day, which I was telling you the story. I mean, I am so surprised and so with gratitude I want to tell this story. It was amazing. We're watching a program on television. It's a series, and a lot of it takes place in the highlands and lowlands of Scotland. And my mother, she was half Scottish. My grandparents were born in Scotland. My grandfather wore a kilt. I don't know them. I never met them. They passed before I was born. But I've often wondered about my heritage, and I don't know very much about Scotland at all. And I was saying to Steve the other day, we were saying, do you know anything about the clans? And we didn't really know anything about them, and I don't. And they never mention any of the clans' names because it's a series, not necessarily, but it just takes place in Scotland. It's not about Scotland. So I'm standing washing something up in the sink, and you absolutely saw this happen. And I can't even remember the name right now, but it doesn't matter. And I'm getting this name of something. I thought it was a restaurant over and over and over in my mind. And I'm going,
Carruthers.
Yes. A Carruthers?
Yeah.
And I'm going, what in the world is this? It must be a restaurant. I look it up. It's a clan in Scotland. So now, to me, absolutely, my grandparents were telling me this is the clan, because I'm thinking to myself, what clan were they from? And I pull out this name, no idea what it is. It was the clan. I'm absolutely certain.
But what was the other spectacular thing about what type of clan it was?
Yes, and I said, are there any Jewish clams? Clams.
There are not Jewish clams, but there might be a Jewish clam.
And underneath it had said Jewish, yes. So that was a message for me that I am truly grateful for, because I never knew my grandparents. So they're trying to tell me the clan, not the clam, the clan.
So your grandparents were of the Jewish clan in Scotland?
Yes, and I didn't think there was any Jewish clans in Scotland. And they actually, it was such a weirdest name. And I'm thinking, I have to look up this restaurant. Why am I saying this? It must have been a restaurant that I'd been to. I still don't remember it without you telling me.
So what was the significance?
My grandparents were born in Scotland.
Maybe part of this Jewish
clan. They were obviously part of, I don't know, I didn't know them, but it gave me
Do you know their name?
Yes, I did.
So maybe you can look up.
I'm going to research it.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't let that go.
Were they Jewish?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And they were raised in Scotland?
Scotland, and there wasn't that too many Jewish people at that time. I mean, I'm going back a very long time that they were in Scotland. They passed before I was born because my mother was the youngest of 8, so by the time she had me, they must have been very old. So anyway, that's my story of the day.
So my daughter had a dream over the weekend, and every time we dream about my dad, it's with his wallet. So she has a dream about my dad, and she goes to this thrift store and she finds this wallet. It's like a Mickey Mouse wallet, and it has his name on it. And so the owner of the store says, you should have this. It has your grandfather's name on it. And underneath my dad's name was his father's name. So the lady from the thrift store gives her this wallet that has my father's name and my grandfather's name on it. So she's like, what does that mean? But I told you I had a dream about my dad in the kitchen, and he was pointing to his wallet. So I said to my mom, I'm like, Mom, we should probably go and look through Dad's wallet.
I was just going to tell you that, yeah.
But I got to find, he just had a stack of credit cards he always had, but I think I need to go through the wallet and find out what was in it, because now twice we've had a dream about his wallet.
You haven't done that yet?
There's got to be something in
I
that
thought it
wallet.
was his phone, and I went through his phone, and there's nothing in it. And then when Chelsea had the dream, he never had a wallet. He just carried around like a stack of things in a rubber band.
So, but this was in a wallet, though.
But maybe that's his way of showing us.
Yeah.
Or maybe
That's a
you
wallet.
interpret a wallet and it's just a stack of things.
Which
That's what
goes
I'm
back to
saying.
what we were saying with the elevator.
Right,
It's
so-
how we interpret it. It's not necessarily the way that the person that's trying to tell you this is going to interpret it. They're doing it for you to understand that there's something there which would be in a wallet. It doesn't have
Right.
to see the wallet. Exactly the same.
Then I have the most interesting question. Can her daughter, her and others that get together and they're having these separate dreams that are interrelating with one another, because apparently over here, she's too dense to get the message, so maybe he's spreading around?
I do believe that too, because I mean, someone will tell you something. That happened the other day to us too. I can't remember what it was, and I didn't. It was your mother's name. Yeah. So I'm getting that, and neither one of us didn't know that it was his mother's name until Steve suddenly we sung a song. The sun will come out tomorrow, and Annie again. I said, Steve, I just told you, Annie. It was your mother's name, and you didn't realize at that time. So it will come back again. If it's something important or someone's convinced of this, then you don't get it the first time, then they'll give it to somebody else. Or they gave it to me again in a song.
Right, so they gave it to my daughter.
So they're giving it to your daughter. It doesn't have to be necessarily, because if you don't notice it, in real life, that is real life, but in life here, on this dimension, I can tell you something, and if I don't know the answer, you're probably going to go and ask somebody else.
So I feel like I have to go find his wallet, whatever he considered
Whatever
a
that
wallet,
stands for.
and go through
and what
it.
you
Find
have
his rubber
perceived.
band.
In his rubber band
Yeah,
of things, right.
But he may not know that you knew that he might have known that you would know it in a rubber band.
Right.
So the fact that there's something in a wallet that he may have in his rubber in a band, you wouldn't think to go to look in the
So I
wallet.
feel like I need to go to their house and look
yes,
through,
you
find
do.
a wallet.
Yes, you. Well, it
Haven't
doesn't
you
have
done
to.
that? Yeah, haven't you gone through your dad's things?
We
and
started to, but then it was my mom was getting a little upset. She said, "Just leave everything." So we did. So we left everything.
No, there's a lot of mystery.
So now apparently I have
Well,
to.
yeah, he's very active, your dad. I've said that.
So
before.
should we ask him, Sally, what I'm looking for?
Well, I think we've got to go to a commercial, so
All right,
we'll
we're gonna
come back. That's a little shoot.
Back
Stay.
to
Don't
men.
go anywhere. We'll find out what was in the wallet. Hopefully. Okay. See you back in a few minutes.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and a grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book at authorhouse and amazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybernard.com. Now back to the show.
Hello, we're back. Okay, continuation. We were talking about your dad's
My
wallet.
dad's wallet. So I got to go to the house and
I
start looking
suggest
through
that you
some
do,
things.
definitely. And if you're not sure or something, give me a call, because by then maybe we can interpret it a little bit more. But he's trying to get hold of you about something that I believe, if you're seeing a wallet, it has to be in the wallet. But the wallet is not a wallet because he didn't use a wallet. But going
But
back
it's
to what we were talking
something of value that
it's
he
a
and my
piece of
grandfather.
paper. I think it's something written down. It's not a money thing that would be there. There's something there. I feel that he wants to let you know where something is, but it could be numbers. There's numbers. I feel that you're
Maybe
going
it's
to.
like a secret bank account or something.
Maybe
we
Well-
don't know
safe
about.
somewhere.
There's something. If you find numbers, call
gonna
me,
call you.
okay? And tell me where the product or whatever it is.
I feel like I should
Don't
down
go
to Mom's
anywhere. I'll
house.
go and figure it out. Just let me know that it's numbers, because I think that there is something to do with numbers. I don't know. It could be somewhere else. Did he ever have a wallet or any? Ever?
I'm sure. And the kids were even saying, you know, Grandpa used to keep everything in a wallet with a rubber band, everything.
It's
You know, then they make
but
these
then the
magnetic
problem,
wallets where
Dawn,
you put
is
everything in.
I think you're going to find something, but you're not going to know where it is. That's going to be the, but you will. I think he
He's
did
just
something
shaking
to
his
remind
head.
himself that I'm definitely feeling that he's reminding himself with something that he'd written down.
And for Chelsea to see my grandfather's name means it's got to go back another generation someplace. So
Could be something from his father to him.
so that's what I'm thinking. I think I know what it is.
You think you know what it is?
Okay.
In a
Does-
wallet?
Does the number help
It's
you?
bigger than a wallet. It's like a whole collection.
Okay,
Of
then maybe
things.
that's what it is.
So maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
I
gotta
don't
go find it.
understand why it took you so long to put that together.
This just happened over the weekend.
Oh.
Well,
No,
Chelsea's
and
dream
it
just happened
also
over the
talking
weekend.
it
Like
out
talking it
helps.
out
I just said
with my
talking it out.
grandfather. It has to be something my grandfather left him that they're telling us has value.
And that's the key. In fact, if the viewers are, well, they're listening, but talk things out. We both said talk it out at the same time. It's so important to do that. In fact, my mother, I think my son is psychic, he just doesn't ever talks about it. But my mother had a safety deposit box and she was not well. I went back to London and she's telling me to write the numbers down of the safety deposit box. And because I didn't want to think of her as passing, I came back to America and I never did that. Well, she passed away when I got back. And I called my son about this and he told me exactly where the bank, well, this was actually a few years later afterwards. He said, I think I figured out where it was. He gives me the name of the bank. He gives me the address of the bank. He gave me everything. I couldn't figure it out. Maybe
Was there
because it
something there?
Yeah, but they wouldn't let us have it. I didn't have my mother's account
Oh, my
number and I
goodness.
didn't have the number, so it went to the state eventually, I think. There was a
Well,
lot
they
in
have
there.
to reveal what it is.
No, I knew, well, kind of, because she said, write this down if anything happens to me. Anyway, that was just part of a story. This was a long, long time ago, but my son was able to do that. But it was too late. I didn't have a bank account number, so nothing. And that was
Crazy,
many
right?
years later, yeah. So it happens. The story of my life.
And the story continues.
And it goes on.
I'm
So-
going to write down the name of a bank account.
Give it to Freddie. He'll hold it in his wallet.
And I'll come back in a dream. Dawn, don't let them have it till you have it.
It's so funny because I'll remember names when I wake up and I try to write them down. And then, I'm like, why is that name in my head? Like you had Carruthers, then you forget it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you realize there's a reason you had remembered it.
Well, I
then-
mentioned it to Steve because I put it in Google to find out what restaurant I'm meant to go to, and then it suddenly says a clan. I mean, this was, and it had Jewish written after it.
And then
I'm
Steve
going,
remembered
what
it.
in the world? Yeah, well, yes, because I asked, even more strange, you spelt it wrong. I've never heard of this.
No,
And
I
I
didn't.
said, no,
You
this,
spelt it.
no, this is part of the story, Steve. The way you spelt it, you didn't spell it wrong, but you thought it was spelt that way. And I said, no, it's,
Okay.
no.
So you spelled it wrong.
No, he
didn't
spelled
spell
it the way I knew it was incorrect. It's not that you did it incorrectly, just to make you feel better here. I spoke to you and
Feel
said,
better?
but I said, this is not the way they spell it. It could be spelled in
Well,
that.
they spelled it differently. It was not that
And
he
it
spelled it
was,
incorrectly.
and that's when that came up.
So you spelled it right.
I spelt it because
because you
they're
spelled
telling
it
me. Only
incorrectly.
because they're telling me.
Sometimes I think we're in two different homes.
Sometimes I think you guys in two different worlds.
Sometimes I think I'm in both.
And what is the significance of clan? Is that like
A clan is like a
Like a tribe?
tribe, yes, a tribe.
So it's a Scottish tribe. Your grandparents were part of a tribe?
Well, they're apparently in I don't know enough. I will research this. They have many different clans.
We
They're
looked it
all
up.
part of a tribe. In other words, if there's 100 of us and we're all relatives, we'll be part of the same. They call it a clan. I don't know that.
This
much.
is on your mother or your father's
My
side?
mother's side.
Did you ever talk to your mother about it?
Very rarely. I remember one time in London, she bought me a kilt. You know, the little kilt. I was only about 5 or 6 years old, and I do remember this.
You mean a skirt?
And she said, no, they called it a kilt. Yeah, it's a skirt. And she said, wear that because it was part of my grandfather's clan. My mother was born in.
So she told you about the Klan.
No, she never told me. I was like 5 years old. She was born in England, I think, in London. So I didn't know anything about that. I knew nothing about my grandparents.
The clans in Scotland were groups of people who generally lived in a certain area of Scotland, and there were some famous clans like the Mackenzie clan, the Stuart clan,
Okay.
and other famous names.
Land ownership, right, where people lived. I guess it was the divisions of community was called the clan.
Right, and it was probably, I don't know if it's only relatives, it'd be other people on the part
And
of the
every
clan.
clan had a leader called a laird.
Yeah, which we were watching on the show. So I truly believe that my grandparents were watching the show with us. My voice is going. I said,
They said not necessarily family members,
oh, okay.
but they were not related by blood, but allegiance.
So they were like gypsies. They
Well,
lived on the
no,
land.
because their home is in Scotland, so they all
But they
probably
lived
get
on the
together
land.
on their land, and that land is named something. So the clan is then a tribe, and they have kilts of the same color, basically, as far as I know. That's what makes it even more crazy for me, because I don't know anything about clans.
And the leader or the laird of a clan would be entitled to collect rents from the various people
Right,
that lived on
right.
the land.
Find your
Land that
family's
doesn't belong
clan.
to him.
So if anybody has any Scottish relatives or are from Scotland,
How
give us
interesting,
a call.
Sally.
It really was. It really was. To me, that was, I've had a lot of things happen, but that was really up there. Even to me knowing the correct, not that you
Spelling.
incorrected, but how would I'm the worst speller in the world, you know that. I said, that's not spelled correctly. How would I know? I've never.
Where was your father born?
My father was born in England, London. My mother was too. I believe she
But
was.
she was in Scotland.
No, her parents weren't. She was one of 9 children. So, yeah, she was the youngest.
Yeah.
So by the time I was born, my grandparents weren't around.
In the 18th century, Scotland fought against England to return the Catholic king to the throne of England. And so that's, most wars are over religion.
So a little bit of history on our show. That's neat.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting how it goes back to families?
It does. It really does. There's so many, and I'm sure I do it a lot. We're given messages, we just don't take notice of them because we're doing our life here, and they try to get hold of us, and you've seen it happen so many times, Steve, where we suddenly say, oh my gosh, well, they were trying to tell us that. Because once you begin to open up, I don't think they stop giving you messages until you know what it is, because they repeat the same things. Or if you want to go, and we've talked about this too, I was obviously meant to come here. So on the first person that recommended me to come here, I didn't come. It took the second person, and I'm here. And here we are, talking about this subject, which a lot of people would say, I don't know, what are you talking about? You guys didn't. You joined in the conversation. Yes, Freddie, you join in the conversation.
And then maybe one day we'll go to Scotland.
Can you imagine go back and tracing your family? That'd be kind of cool.
I think that was the message was do some research.
I mean, look at Sally. She's got light hair, blue eyes. Would you ever think
And she drinks heavily. She's a Scot.
Oh, no.
that'd be Irish? I don't know. All right, you got more questions?
I do. Any other questions or no? You got another one?
No.
What's your ancestry look like?
Well, my grandfather was from Germany, my paternal grandfather. And in fact, his name was actually Sparling. And when he came to this country, he changed it to Sperling to make it more Americanized.
Never had like dreams of your grandparents?
No, I never really knew my grandparents. I knew one grandfather, my maternal grandfather, who passed when I was about 6. But I have memories of him going to visit, and he would be sitting in like this big chair, like a throne, and sitting on his knee, and him bouncing me on his knee for a few minutes. And
That was a dream or real?
that was real, but sometimes that came back to me in dreams.
It's interesting he says
That's
that
good,
because
yeah.
when I was a kid, and I don't know if it was a dream or if it was real, and he brings up a good point, and it was my grandparents putting on like a Vicks vapor rub but it wasn't Vicks. It smelled worse than that. And they put it on me. I must have been 2, because apparently there was something wrong with me. Now, I don't know if this was real or a dream.
Well, that's also a very good subject because, you know, I had mentioned earlier when I was born, it was after the war, at the end of the war, just after. And I remember this gas mask being, maybe it didn't, maybe it was a dream. Because if the war was over, for me to remember it, I had to be about 4 or 5, I guess. And they're putting a gas mask on me. I don't know if that was a dream now. Maybe it was.
Wow.
So, you know,
That's
this is
heavy.
interesting. It's interesting. Okay, so
That's
some of the
heavy.
listeners, their questions.
All right. Ava, Ava Patel from Texas writes in, I dreamt of my ex-partner. Did we ask this one already? Wait, okay, let's move
I
on.
think so.
Let's go to Sophia Rodriguez from Illinois. I dreamt of my spirit guides, and they were offering me guidance on my career path. How can I tap into their wisdom and trust their guidance?
Okay, just ask. If you dreamt of them, they're around you. So anybody that has, and I'm going to kind of, because it's hard to get vibrations, but in general, if you feel that your guide is around you, talk to your guides. We have many guides. Have a conversation. You may feel strange at first, but somewhere you will get some sort of answers. If you pick up a magazine or a newspaper or turn the TV on, your question will be answered somehow if you keep an open mind.
Sounds like she has to rely and guide on her.
Well, only her, unless she goes to see someone that's a psychic.
Well, she has to trust her own intuitions, no?
Well, yeah, but to keep an open mind, because you can very often ask a question, and it's happened to me many times because I talk to Aldo a lot. I'll turn the TV on and then the answer will be right.
But the interesting thing here is that I think that the question that she's asking is the answer that she's asking.
That's possible. She's already got the answer to her question.
Right,
As
because
she's
she has
writing.
to believe what she senses from her guide.
Because she was talking to her guide, and the answer may very well follow that, which probably happened in that situation.
What do you think about people who are in a hospital and they dream of an angel who comes in, and the angel, they see it, see people, but yet if you ask somebody else there, they go, what are you talking about? But yet they become healed.
They do, but that happens too when you believe it, because they saw it. And if they say, I saw an angel, they're probably healed. Yes, because that's part of, that they do help us. Again, I'm going to bring this back to myself. When I broke my shoulder, Aldo did appear. I won't go into the whole of that. But in the emergency room, I was laying in the emergency room and someone came and tapped my foot. And they said, you'll be all right. I could hear it. And and the following day, I said, I would love to meet the lady that touched my foot. Yeah, seriously. And they said, we don't allow people in the emergency room. That's my experience of someone helping me, other than Aldo showing up, which he did. He didn't know where I was. I know I can still see the lady touching my foot when I'm laying on the emergency room.
Now, when we move on to the next life, Sally, if it happens in this hospital room, does our soul stay there or does it move on?
No, it goes immediately. We pass. If we transition,
Where
our
do we
body
go?
is there. Well, I'd love to do a show on that.
Yeah,
because
so would I.
Yeah, no, I can give you the best that I know, because I've had out-of-body experiences, which is astral projecting too, and many people that have had an out-of-body or have had a near-death experience, you don't actually cross over. This I truly believe, because then you are gone. But there's so many people that get to that just at that level, and then they come back, and everybody describes that the same. Different situations of where they're going, but how they see a light, how they haven't completely transitioned, but they're like what we would call in limbo, and they hear messages, they hear people talking. Most people say how calm it is, how wonderful it is, and I know from myself and the people that I have met that have had out-of-body or astral projection experiences, when they come back, they are totally different. They are believers, because it happened to me. That's how I met my friend Mindy, and I know she doesn't mind. She listens to the show, and hi, Mindy. She had had an out-of-body experience, and we were discussing, I won't give her last name, just in case she may not want to tell people, but you have that experience and you know that there is so much more. You open up to so much more. And people, I can be telling you this story here, and somebody, say in Australia, is describing exactly what I am saying to somebody else, maybe at this time or another time, because I know that experience. And the feeling is just, it's just clear, it's unconditional love. And anyone that has, and you ask them, will all come back with the same type of feeling. Not necessarily messages, each people meet different people, but it's the same feeling that you get and the people that you met.
But do these spirits have any influence on what you dream?
The spirits have, well, no, because if you're in contact with them, because I believe when you're on an astral plane, it's similar, we just don't remember. So if they want you to remember or know something that they're telling you that's important, I believe they'll keep repeating it. And the best way to get through to you probably is when you're sleeping, because your mind is somewhere else. It's resting. So guides want to tell us. They can't make us or change we have a set path to follow. A guide can't come on and interfere with that, but they can help you and they can maybe warn you, but they're not going to change your path. It's up, we have free will.
You have choice, yes.
We have free will.
But you can pick up a guide that doesn't belong to you and they will tell you something.
Oh yes, but we have many guides, so I wouldn't know either way if it was somebody, but I think I'm not sure of the answer, but this is what they're telling me, is that each guide has, they're telling me, a specific role in your life. They're actually saying that. So you may, and I know I experienced this in one of my projections, that I had my main guide who passed me over to his apprentice at that point, who'd had a very similar lifetime to me. I knew nothing about this when I dreamt this, and I was totally there. I met him, and I met the lady that was an apprentice for my main guide. It's not a whole lot different than how we act here. We're just in another dimension. We're in another, it's here. It's not like it's way up in the stars. They're here. That's why certain people can see things that somebody else can't, because they haven't broken through that little part of the veil to see. I totally believe in fairies today. I mean, you here, you've got fairy earrings on. You can see them. We may not be aware that, because if you've reached that level of vibrational energy, you can see much more. That's how I'm getting messages, because I've raised my vibration. Now I can come back after the show and be back where I was. I'm not going to be talking this way unless you ask me to rise my vibration. We can all do this. We just don't know we can, because we're energy. So all you do is lift.
They give us messages. I was on my way to Miami yesterday, and something told me I needed to bring these 3 pictures to Aaron. So I brought them, and 2 were like of Woody and Buzz, and 1 was of like a September 11th proclamation. So I brought it to him, and he says, well, I said, I don't know, something, the way I see things told me I needed to bring this to you. He's like, well, this was I was with Grandpa, and Grandpa, so it was clearly a message that my dad wanted to have.
Absolutely.
One of the 3. I just brought all of them with him.
Absolutely.
Whatever that means to him, or it was just my dad wanting him to have it.
So you were kind of like the messenger at that point. So you needed to give him those.
I had to give him these.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was in them.
But that's similar to our dreams. It was for him to interpret. You don't have to know. You just followed the instructions of going there. But it worked out that it was so. So that we also are used as messengers without even knowing that. I can give you something. I have no idea what it is. Well, I do that. I give a name to someone. I don't know who that person is. That person is telling me, and you'll say, yes, I know that person, I recognize that name. It's the same thing with things physically that we can have, pictures or whatever.
I guess my dad's very busy these days.
Your dad has always been busy. I told you that. Yes, he is very busy. He's busy, and he's fine, Dawn, you know that.
To get back to your question a few minutes ago, Freddie, if you die in a hospital, does your soul remain there? There's a wonderful animated movie that won the Academy Award 5 or 6 years ago called Soul. and it shows that your soul goes to like this holding area, for lack of a better term.
Bardo.
What?
It's called the bardo.
Okay, and you're being prepared. For, what?
I'm sorry.
He loves the interaction between the two of you.
I had to say that. And that's quite known, I think, in the Buddhist religion. They call it the bardo. I knew that from Aldo.
May I get back to my
Yes,
explanation?
please.
Yes, but just so the viewers know that it's about something.
It's about the border.
Okay, whatever it is. And anyway, it shows that you remain in this holding area while being prepared for your next adventure, your next life, your next. So your body isn't there, but your soul is there, waiting to come back in at the right moment.
And do they interfere with dreams? Do they interfere with people?
No.
Well, it's funny. This movie Soul showed that they do. I don't know whether that's.
So from what I know, because Aldo did talk to me extensively about this, we go, which you're absolutely correct, the movie was. We can call it a holding place where we all go.
The bardo.
Well, yes, but so that they know we're still talking about the bardo. He called it the bardo. It's pretty well known. I think if anyone is, the Buddha's called it that. So that's where we go. We review our life and see what happens. But our soul is there. Our body is not. Our body is here. So you see, and you actually go through your whole life. Many people, it's not just me getting messages, have talked extensively about this. So we say, well, do we judge ourselves? No, you look at yourself to see what you have done. And this is very well known. It's many, many people believe this. And you don't say, well, I should have done it this way, because we come back. So having reviewed it that way, we don't get angry, we don't get upset. We literally are looking down at our life, as far as I know, and this is what they're telling me. So when we decide to come back, we say, well, we'll do that again or correct that. We come back with certain people that help us along our journey. Having said that, to explain more, because our soul is there, we have people, our guides at that time, who are going to guide us through another lifetime. Actually, we can say we want to do something, and they can say to you, and this is really interesting, don't do that, you're going to find that very difficult. But because we're in another dimension, we're going to go, no, we need to do that because you've just reviewed your life, and this is what they're telling me. So we come back and do some of the things that they have actually advised us not to do because it's going to be too horrible. But we do it. So in answer to what we should do here, call the guides. They know we're doing it. Just say, help me through this difficult situation. So we're in body here, we're in our soul and spirit outside of here.
You got that?
Any questions?
Yeah, I'm done.
Interesting.
But that is interesting.
More than ever,
It makes sense to
Well,
me.
more than ever, I think that it has to interfere with some of the things that are going on while you're going through this, because you're going to get messages, other people are involved. It becomes an interactive of energy, because you can't get rid of energy and you can't replace it.
No, that's why we never die, because we're here forever.
It's just in what form?
It's in different
What-
forms.
what
It's
frequency?
perfect, because that's exactly what happens. Because we change our frequency when we get to the level that I am talking right now. I'm not walking around talking about this all the time. No, I'm not. But I know I can, because I know I've raised my energy a little bit.
I know how to turn her off at home.
Dawn, have you any questions?
I got another one. Jackson Davis from Georgia says, I dreamt of a deceased loved one, and they were warning me about an upcoming challenge. Isn't that remarkable? We just talked about this.
Yeah, no, naturally.
How can I prepare for this challenge and navigate it successfully?
Premonition.
Well,
Now, navigate means choice, right?
yes, it does. Yes, because at least you've had warning or whatever. You've had the premonition. So when this tragedy, you have some idea what might be occurring. You may not know necessarily when the time, but you'll see that this is what's going to be happening. Yes, it's a premonition. That's a premonition.
That's an interesting question, right? We just
Very,
talked about
very.
it.
It was very appropriate, right?
Appropriate, you say?
Appropriate.
And then what do you do with that information?
Well, the person, at least they understand that they can navigate it. Let's start there. Successfully, let's start there. That's
Okay.
two things.
Yeah.
And how do they prepare? Like she just said, if you are in tune, first of all, he wrote this, if you're in tune, you're preparing.
That's correct.
And choice will give you many, many paths to pick from. Question is, you have to pick a path.
Well, they keep saying God doesn't give you what you ask for. God gives you the circumstances for you to find what you seek.
And he won't, it says here
So they
too,
say.
won't give you more than what you can handle. However, we sometimes make the choice that we're going to handle more, which I think was what I was just saying earlier, because we expect a lot of ourselves, truthfully. This is what they're saying. When we come back, we don't realize how hard it can be, because nobody, I don't care who you have met or talked to, has gone through this life with no problems. So, but depending on the size of the problem, when we're in another place, in another dimension, we think we're going to be able to handle it. Well, we can't. Very often we can't. So ask the guides. We take a lot. We put ourselves through an awful lot of stuff because that's how we're learning. But the key is to maybe balance it a little bit more. I mean, look what's happening in the world today. I mean, people, we're sitting here, and goodness knows what people are suffering, you know, which we turn on the news.
Do
and
they
you
have guides? Everyone have a
everybody,
guide?
and I don't want to say because it's very hurtful if someone is, whatever is happening, but I really don't like to say we had the choices we chose, because terrible things are happening. But in some ways you can say that, because it doesn't make sense. We don't see that. It doesn't make sense because some of the things are horrific, but people are learning, and it's very sad what they've chosen, going back to what we take on more than we can really handle. That's a very good example, because some of these things are horrific. We protected ourselves a lot of times. We're sitting here, we don't know what they're doing out there. It's terrible. And we need to, if we can, get some sort of balance here, that all this suffering that we're going through, to bring it more into what we would call a lighter space, to get that balance. We have all chosen this, but we need to get a balance so that we can handle it.
Has the world always been this upside down, but now with technology we get to see it?
Well, it hasn't, because I've had some answers to that. And I can go back, which I really, truthfully, without laughing, would like to make another show on my take of what actually happened, because I've had experience of being told a lot about this. And in the beginning, no, but just to make it a few minutes, because that's all we've got, everything was perfect here, perfect. But if everything is perfect, how are you going to learn? What is the purpose of these journeys, lifetime after lifetime? Yes, to live in bliss, and I believe that it went on for, in our terms, thousands of years, but they weren't learning anything. So we came back, and they lived a lot longer. That's another show. We haven't the time to go into that, but please ask me this question, and we'll go into it more next week. Because I think we've got to go now. But
Why don't you tell me how to get your book?
so I'm completely there.
I don't have it here, but it's there.
Call
Me Zena. You can go to Author House or Amazon, written by Sally Bernard. Call Me Zena. See her travels and some of the artwork. Pretty fascinating.
Or
It's a whole
scan the
nother-
QR code.
Or
Is
scan the
there
QR code.
is
right
there
there
a
in your screen.
contact piece on your website as well? Do we
There
have a
is, yes,
contact?
into
So
the
people
book,
could-
yes, yeah. And the good thing is I'm here every Monday. So call into the studio locally if you're outside and you live nearby. Come in and ask me questions in the book. If you have the book, you've got to have the book to ask the questions that are in it, and I'll answer the questions for you.
But the website has a contact page if they want to ask their own
It
questions.
does, yes, it does. And you can go into Amazon. They're helping me out now. Into
Check out Amazon or Author House or the QR code.
Yeah, and it's really worth reading. This happened to me about 20 years ago, but today what I experienced that I write in my book is much more acceptable. Many people have had what I had with these experiences. So ask me, read the book, get a copy of it by, what do you call it?
Ebook.
Ebook, and ask me the questions.
I'm here.
And dreams all have a purpose and a meaning, so you should try to find out what it means in your life. It could surprise you.
Thank you for listening, and I'll see you this time next week. Bye.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.